Well, bugger. Don't know if you caught that in the time lapse, but this just happened. I had a small catch and it snapped in two places. I've got a piece of apple here. This is from a orchard up in Uradla, and what I thought I might do with this is a simple project, a little what you call it, honey dipper. I haven't done one before. It's a pretty bog standard wood turning project, but since I haven't done one, I thought I'd give one a try, and I think this wood might have an interesting look when turned. So let's get started. I don't know if you can see that there, but I've cut a cross into the top, and that's where I'm going to put the headstock. I'm going to have to work out what the name of that little piece is. One of these. This piece. I'll give that a good whack with the mallet, get that in there, and then get it on the lathe and try and get this as centered as possible so that I get the most out of the wood and have the least wobble. I've taken a bit of time to get this on the lathe as centered as I can. The wood is slightly bowed, not much, but enough that I'm going to need to take a little bit off, and I've got these knots all over it, which are going to take a little bit of a hammering. What I think I'd like to do really early on is turn a tenon into this end so that I can put it into my other chuck. I think that'll be a stronger hold, so that'll be task number one. Let's get the rest down this end, and I'll start turning. I may do a little bit of time lapse here just to speed things along a little. I've roughed it down now, so this is the apple, and look, it's got some really nice colour changes in here, and I'm hoping that it'll keep turning fairly nicely and not show up any cracks or voids. There is a crack at the end here, it's to be expected, that's where it was drying out. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to work the final honey dipper somewhere between about here and here. That does mean that I'm going to have a couple of knots fairly front and center, but we'll see. I'm going a fair way in, so we'll see how far they follow. Now that it's nice and round, I can bump the speed up as I can work it a little bit quicker. The next step for me will be to turn this down to a straight and round and get rid of all this bark, because it's certainly not going to need that. And then I'm going to mark out the different parts of the honey dipper and begin to shape it. So let's go. Shields down. So at this point, I've now just got to remove a lot of timber, and I'm going to go back to my, it's actually my roughing gouge. I'm going to go back to this for a while, and then I'll probably use a spindle gouge, and yeah, it's still quite sharp. I'm used to turning the red gum, so this apple is very soft in comparison. So it's coming along. It's rather long, I think. I didn't really think to measure how long these things are meant to be before I started, but that's okay because I can make the handle a bit shorter. Getting to the point where I can't get this in close enough, so I'm going to get the head turned down a bit. Okay, moving to my spindle gouge now. Nice and sharp, and just a little bit finer than using the roughing gouge. At the moment it's more like a mace than a honey dipper. That's okay. I'm starting to get to the thickness I want for the handle in here. Catching it a little bit with the gouge, but I think it's because this is so far out from the wood, so I'm going to bring this in a bit closer so I can work a little bit more on the handle. But I'm also going to switch over and do a time lapse because I chew up space so quickly on my phone doing these videos that it's ridiculous. Well, bugger. Don't know if you caught that in the time lapse, but this just happened. I had a small catch and it snapped in two places. So, look, so close to being finished as well. I think I could probably finish this off manually, but the handle's just not quite where I want it. Almost. I'm trying to work out how I can get this back into the chuck so I can sand it up. Right at this moment I'm a little bit cut, a bit upset, but hey, this is exactly what woodturning's about, and I have to learn what I did wrong. Maybe if you're watching this you might have some ideas on ways that I can prevent that sort of thing happening in the future. It might just be that I need to not be so aggressive with the tool. And the next 10-15 minutes are going to be me, sandpaper, and this here, and I might round the ends off on a belt sander or something. We'll see. Well, this hasn't quite turned out how I expected. Almost done though. After that little accident, I've been working on this by hand. I've sanded it down to 600 grit and then used some Yorkshire grit to give it a real polish. Now I'm just going to have a dig around and see what food safe finish I can put on it so that it can actually be used as a honey dipper. Well, that's another project finished. Don't need this anymore. This is my first honey dipper. Now I had a problem. The shaft snapped as I was turning it, but I was pretty close to finishing, so I was able to rescue it. I've sanded it and trimmed the ends by hand, and now I've given it a coating of raw linseed oil, and the raw linseed oil will help preserve it, and it is food safe, I understand, so this is a gift. I've got dinner tonight with friends and I thought I'd take them along something that I've made, so I'll take some photos of it and you'll magically see those in a moment. But yeah, so thanks for watching another TGL wood turning video, and I hope this was vaguely instructive or informative for those of you who might be learning or wanting to see how other people do things. Thank you.